Okay, I will freely admit that I suck as a cook. I mean, now that Todd does all the cooking, there's really no reason for me to ever enter the kitchen unless it's to get like a drink of water. But the one thing I am still good at is baking, and that is because I learned all of my mom's killer recipes when I was younger. Now, the first one is very old-fashioned. It involves Crisco shortening. I get the sticks now, which Mother would be appalled at because she's Scottish and she doesn't understand why we'd waste this kind of money. But the one thing she taught me was this uber flaky pie crust that is to die for. And today we're making mini pie, little baby mini pie tarts, pumpkin pie tarts.
Why is that?
Because they're adorable and people like small
Is this a new thing, the individual pie?
Oh my gosh, this is everywhere on Pinterest this year. And so I found a couple of really cool ones. We're also going to do a paleo pumpkin pie tart.
What's the paleo?
The paleo diet is where everything's super low carb. And so I have an amazing almond and coconut flour one that I'm going to do. But let's start with this one just because it's my favorite. The most epic way to do a super, super, super flaky pie crust is really simple. The first thing you're going to do is chop up the bits of the shortening. Now, you really don't have to make them very small. I know some people just chop, chop, chop until the pieces are tiny, tiny, tiny. But part of the deal is that the larger the fat objects are in the pie crust as it's baking, that's the thing that lifts the pie crust and makes it all delightfully flaky and gooey and stuff.
I have a question.
Yes, darling.
Are you starting a fight?
Gosh, I hope
Because
not.
I know that every time that I do a cooking thing, it's just like, well, that's not the way we do it. And then next thing you
it
know,
must suck.
why are you trying to kill your kids?
Well, I think that's a given. I think we can all accept that. Now,
Okay.
this was an easy one. I just doubled the recipe so far, as you can see. So I did 3 cups of flour. I did not sift, but I did kind of like lightly toss with a fork.
Do you want me to get the cupcake tins while you're waiting?
Yes, please. That would be lovely.
Okay.
The next thing you do is you throw in a teaspoon and a half of coarse salt. Now, I know that's more salt than most people would do. The reason why is it's part of the texture of the pie crust, and it really works rather beautifully. Now, if you can see, I am into
You're a sous chef.
generous.
Look at me.
I know, I'm feeling more special by the minute. So, you could use like the little cupcake holders for the pumpkin pie tarts in the cupcake tin, but I don't want to because I think the texture and the way it looks is really pretty. Now, here's the sneaky thing. First of all, we've done a fairly large sized chunk of shortening. Now, you'll see that that actually does come out really well when we're starting to roll this out. Here's the other thing. It's hard to chill the fat section, which is either the shortening or the butter if you're using it, and then actually get it into the chunks you want. But what you can do is what you bring in is the ice cold water. Now, I always put this actually in ice so it's as cold as I can possibly get. And you do 4 to 8 tablespoons. Your goal here is you simply want to get this to a point. Come back here, ice. You don't belong in there. Your goal is just to get this to the point where it's kneadable. So this part you probably already know. You just keep putting it in until it looks like, that would be 5. Let's see how this looks. Until it looks like it might be in a mixable structure. So you probably don't need to see this part anymore because it's not that exciting. So we'll come to the rolling out in just a second. Stay with us. That was subtle, baby. Here's my least favorite part.
This is my favorite part. You asked me why.
Why is this your favorite
Because
part?
it's almost done. I can eat it.
We're so nowhere near being done.
You don't even like pumpkin.
All right. 2 cups of pumpkin puree. Now here's the deal. The reason why we're doing 2 cups of pumpkin puree is that we are going to be using the same ingredient for both crusts, for both the keto crust, for the paleo, keto, low carb diet thing, which is, by the way, only 1 carb per, 1 net carb per tart. And then we can also use the same thing for the normal crust, which I think we all agree is probably really extra tasty. That is a god-awful sound.
No,
isn't
it sounds like Peter Frampton. Wow, 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 wow. Remember?
Oh, he had that wailing kind of wah-wah guitar?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Now, fun fact, we use one of these little hand mixers because we don't bake very often, but this is how little I bake because there was one Christmas morning I went, I'm going to make those lemon tarts for Todd that he loves so much. And it was really heavy-duty dough, and I was like trying to clear out because it had like actually stopped the blade. So don't ask me why. I stuck my finger in here to clear it out.
Is it unplugged? Unplug
What?
it before you do this.
While my thumb was still on the starter and pushed it. So I'm sitting here with my finger bleeding, and I finally went across the street to our neighbors going, she's a doctor, and I said, does this look like I should go to the emergency room? She goes, it's not spurting. Just wrap something around it.
She just said that because she wasn't going to eat the food.
And then she gave me a pair of surgical gloves to put on so I wouldn't get blood in his dough.
Too late.
My husband is so sweet. All right, so here's the deal. We got this part done. The reason why you want to beat the eggs just a little bit, which is a little bit unusual for pumpkin pie, is because we're making more of a puree. It's more of a tart. Can you hand me a spatula, baby? So you want it to be lighter and fluffier. And yeah, I'm sorry about the debris all over the counter here. You want this to be a little bit lighter and fluffier than the usual one, because we're being all fancy. So we do this. Then we are going to do a teaspoon. That, by the way, was 2 eggs along with the 2 cups.
Do you want to tell the story about the pie crust and your
Along
mom?
with the 2 cups of the pumpkin. Oh, the reason why I'm in love with the pie crust recipe, I know it uses shortening, and my mother's a clinical nutritionist, so even for her, she feels dirty every time she does this, but we do it like once a year. But the trouble is, even though it's not one of the good fats, it's really, I know that's a loose interpretation of how much nutmeg, I'm sorry. But it's once a year, and it just doesn't taste good, as good with butter as it does with the shortening mix. It's not as flaky. So, 1 teaspoon nutmeg, 1 teaspoon cinnamon. Some people use ginger. I think you're a communist. So that's in. And then the other thing you need is heavy cream. So, heavy cream, and what we're gonna do, once I get it open. You know, when I was single, I could open things with one twitch of my muscled wrist, and now it's like, you're here. You want to just do it for me? All right, so what we're doing then, I'm doing 4 tablespoons of heavy cream. Once again, this is more like a puree, because usually people use like condensed milk.
I want that in my coffee. I seriously want that in my
whole
coffee.
thing?
No, just a couple of those.
Heavy whipping cream is very, very delightfully thick and viscous, which is my favorite word in the world.
Erin is a tapper. She's a tapper from way back when.
Why would you want to waste it?
I know, but you tap on, yes.
All right, so.
You're going to plug back
Did you
in.
unplug it on
For
me?
safety reasons.
Well, it's not like I was going to press the button then. Even I am capable of learning a lesson.
That's what we thought before.
I still have no idea why I did that. I mean, it was like the most spectacularly stupid thing ever. So, gentle mix. I usually do this just to get the dry ingredients like the nutmeg and the cinnamon in. It doesn't have to be perfectly mixed because you're going to whisk it anyway. This just adds a little bit of airiness. Once again, I'm tapping, honey. I'm tapping. Okay, then you just whisk the rest in until it's in a really nice, light, delightful little mix. This is really uncomfortable doing this on camera because I know that I'm sloppy and I know that people are like, oh, honey, you don't do it like that.
I guess you haven't watched my videos, huh?
But I mean, I feel really weird because I mean, I know I'm working with women who are so much, and men who are so much better at this than I am.
Yeah.
So it feels weird, but okay. So what you're ending up with?
All right, so we have. So let me kind of clarify. So what we have now is the puree.
This is the pumpkin puree that is going to go into the 2 different kind of pumpkin tart shells.
And where are those right now?
They're baking.
Oh.
You bake them at 325 because they are much smaller and much more adorable. You don't bake them anywhere as long as you usually do.
They're kind of quick. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, for instance, for the paleo, keto, low carb, it's like 6 minutes. For the regular pumpkin pie crust, it's maybe 10 or 11.
Right. Okay. All right. So
You
we're
take
at the
them
point.
out, they're cooling.
All right. And then the next step will happen.
Yes.
Oh wait. Special effect. Whoa.
Okay, I just got a hold of this brand new recipe, and it's actually for people who are on the low carb keto. What's the other cool one? Diet where there's like no sugar, low carbs.
It sounds horrible.
No, they're actually really good
No,
tarts.
it sounds horrible.
I've been on a low carb. I haven't seen a carbohydrate since like 1987.
What's it rhyme with?
I don't know. But the important thing is that, and paleo. But anyway, this is a wonderful one for all of those.
Like paleontologist? Because they're dead.
Maybe you should stop asking questions.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Right.
That means the oven's ready to go. It's preheated at 350 for these shells. And so this goes for our pumpkin tarts. It has 1 net carb per tart, which is awesome, and no sugar. So it's totally great. Well, there is xylitol, which is nice because it actually strengthens your teeth. See? This is healthy. All right, here's what we do. First of all, you're going to do 1.5 cups of the almond and the coconut flours. Now, once you've got these suckers together, you are going to then put in 3 tablespoons of butter. I am going to eyeball this because I'm lazy. And then you're going to want 2 tablespoons of cold water. Now, the cold water is important because this is one of the elements that not only acts as a binder, but it also gives it a better texture. I don't know why, but it's always been that way. Then we mix it all together very, very slowly. Now this obviously is going to be a lot more crumbly than your regular recipe, okay? Which is okay. That's what you're looking for. The nice thing about using the almond is that it has a lot of really nice healthy nut fats in it, so it binds things together really well. All right, you don't need to see me mixing it. I'll come back in a minute. Now, for anyone who's been used to working with nut flour, you know perfectly well that trying to get these suckers to hold together is essentially a nightmare. It's worth it, but it's a lot of work. So what you're going to do is you're going to pack it quite heavily into the muffin tin. The muffin tin needs to be generously greased. Now, I have a friend who I learned this from who actually has one of those little wooden things that actually kind of scoops it and makes an adorable little center. It seemed like a lot of effort. So instead, just make sure that you've got enough that it goes up the side so that it holds in as an adorable little cup for the pumpkin puree. And pulling these suckers out is another thing that's tricky. I like having them out of cupcake paper because I think it looks prettier because it's kind of like a really rustic, pretty look. However, if you're going to do it that way, you need to bake it, you need to let it cool, you need to loosen it with a knife, and then you need to chill it so that everything can kind of hold together. But when it comes out, it looks freaking amazing. So I'm going to continue to do this and pack it, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about pumpkin puree. Note to self, next time I'm baking, I probably won't wear black because you can tell every ingredient I've used today because I'm wearing them. Okay, if you take a look, we have now got our 2 different kinds of pumpkin tart crusts. We have the paleo-friendly one, which is 1 net carbohydrate per tart, sugar-free, which is glorious. And then, of course, we have the regular kind. Now, this is my mom's crust recipe, which is like the flakiest, most delightful thing in the world. And the thing that's so nice about these is that big pies sometimes don't always get eaten, but adorable little tarts, everybody eats adorable little tarts. So what we're going to do is we're going to spoon the rest of the puree in here. Why isn't Zoe doing this? Seriously, why am I doing like...
Because we didn't tell her we're making desserts.
That was probably a good idea. Now these are going to go in the oven for about 12 minutes. Here's the thing, you can't really stick in the toothpick on this and see if it comes out clean. That one doesn't work. So the easiest thing to do is do the shake test, and you will tell if there's not a lot of quivering from the puree. If it seems like it's kind of set up and it's holding well, it's ready to go. So you bring it out, and then you're going to let it cool for as long as it takes so that we can put on the whipped cream. Oh yes, the whipped cream. Okay, so in my usual time management, I've realized it's about 10:30 at night, and Zacky's class needs these for tomorrow for their Friendsgiving feast. So I'm trying to get the rest of the little tiny baby pumpkin tartlets ready. And so I'm just trying to decorate the top a little bit. Now, the easiest thing to do that I really like about this is these are the keto ones right here, right? These are the ones that only have 1 net carb, there's no sugar, and they were actually really freaking delicious. I was excited, and these are our standard little pumpkin tarts. They're made with my mom's flaky pie crust recipe. So ordinarily, I know we don't have that much shortening in our life, but you know what? It's a flaky pie crust, and it's Thanksgiving. So in case you want to be healthy Nazi mom, you've got these guys. If you want to be decadent, shameless, I don't care, I just want a flaky pie crust mom, you got these. But either way, they're wonderfully simple. And once again, what is our mantra here on the Todd and Erin show?
Give up and go to bed?
No, if Erin can do it, pretty much anyone can. So if you want the full recipe, you can find it on Todd and Erin Daily Stream. Look, it's a long held one. Everybody knows it.
cooking at 10 a night sucks. It really does.
Don't lie, those look freaking delicious. You love them,
They do look great.
right?
Yes, they do.
I did good.
Can we go to bed now?
Yeah, just check for the full recipe on toddandaarondailystream.com. Thanks.